Today is October 21st, 2014, and we are interviewing Mr. William Bristow at the Hinsdale Evangelical Covenant Church. Mr. Bristow was born on July 11th, 1926. My name is Cheryl Walker, and I'll be interviewing Mr. Bristow. Leslie Lucas will be transcribing today. Mr. Bristow, where were you born?
In Chicago.
Okay. Did you have any siblings that also went into the military?
My brother went to the Marines, but he passed away about 5 years ago.
Okay. What about your parents?
Well, my dad was almost drafted because he was a construction man, and they needed Seabees, which during Navy, that's construction battalion people. Interestingly enough, I was in Tokyo at the end of the war, and then the ship was sent up to Okinawa to pick up 92 Seabees and bring them back to the United States.
What made you, did you get drafted? Did you enlist?
I was drafted. And December 5th, 1944, I was taken up to the Great Lakes Naval Training Station, and that's where I started out.
And from Great Lakes, where did you go?
After I completed boot camp training, I was sent to San Diego to go through radar operator school.
Okay, and when you say radar operator, can you explain what that is?
Well, I was aboard the ship, and we had surface radar and we had air search radar. And I would have to sit part-time on the air search radar and part-time on the surface search radar. And then also, if we had any contacts, we had to take and report them. And also, many times we had to take and we didn't recognize what we had found. We had to track it. Yeah.
So when you say what you found, you had to track it. What kind of things were those?
Well, for example, once we had a hospital ship that was going very, very fast, and somebody had reported it as being a low-flying aircraft, and so then we had to follow it and find out whether it was or not, and it wasn't. It was a hospital ship.
How many ships were you on?
I was only on the destroyer Franks, DD 554, a Fletcher-class destroyer.
And after your training, where did you get on the USS Franks?
I got on the USS Franks at the Bremerton, Washington, because the destroyer Franks had been rammed by the battleship New Jersey, and one man was killed. That was the captain. It was a night operation, and I wasn't on the ship at the time. But then the ship had to be sent back to the shipyard and just outside of Seattle, Washington.
Do you remember how many men got on the ship at the same time you did?
Well, there was a group of us that had gone through radar operator school, and the ship got back to be repaired, and there was about 8 of us that got on the ship at the same time I did.
And who was the admiral? Is it the admiral? Who was in charge of the ship?
The captain.
Captain.
Lieutenant Commander Eugene Baker. Oh, what's his last name? Eugene Baker. He was from a real Navy family, but he was the captain of the ship.
And you have a picture of the ship, don't you?
I do.
Would you like to hold it up so we could see that?
Yep, and we'll do that.
And how long were you on the ship?
Well, I was on the ship about almost 2 years. And then after the ship was, but I wasn't a high point man, so I had to stay a little longer. I was then assigned to the 19th Fleet Staff, and I had to climb masts and fix radar gear and work on that, and also sonar gear.
Where, after you boarded Frank's, where did you go from there? Where was your...
We went then to San Diego. We went up through the strait above Washington into the Pacific Ocean, then down to San Diego. And we were there for a few days, and then we went out to Hawaii. And then we did some target practice on the Kahulawi, the island that was used for training of main batteries of ships.
And then from there, where did you go?
From there, I went to the front, and I was with Bull Halsey's group. And then we were outside of Japan when they dropped the bombs on Japan, and we went right into Japan then to assist in the occupation of Japan.
And how long were you over on the coast of Japan?
Well, I think we were around the coast of Japan until they signed the peace treaty, and then we went to Okinawa to pick up 92 Seabees to take them back to the United States. Yeah.
What was it like to be over in the sea waters when they signed the treaty?
Well, apparently Bull Halsey said if you see any Japanese ships planes flying around, treat them kindly but shoot them down. Yeah.
What other memories do you have of your time on the destroyer?
Well, when the war was over, we were in Japan, and then we had to take, as I said before, go to Okinawa to get 92 Seabees and bring them home. And I was on watch one night just when we were right near the Alaskan islands, and we had other ships in the task group, and all of a sudden we heard "man overboard." This is the aircraft carrier, which was the Dutchman was its code name, but I don't remember what the ship was. But at that, dropping 60 feet off into the water, and that cold water, he didn't last long.
Do you have... What was the food like?
Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty good, except that we always got a little bit upset with the cooks and that because they were eating better than we were.
So they were saving the best part for them.
They were doing well by themselves, I'll tell you. Yeah.
Did you ever run out of supplies?
No, in fact of the matter is I remember having to throw turkeys overboard because when they opened up the turkeys, it was just too late. They had been, they had really started to rot. Yeah. But the ship wasn't that bad.
What about, did you sleep on a bunk?
On a bunk?
or a hammock?
Well, it was that was a bunk, but we had 2 or 3 bunks in a row, and I slept forward. And let me tell you, the way the ship would go up and down and roll and that I had to have my arm around the chain that held my bunk up.
What other things can you tell us about your time?
Well, I was in the Hawaiian Islands waiting for our motor whaleboat to pick us up, and all of a sudden I heard a splash, and some sailor had pushed an ensign into the water, which was bad. I felt sorry for the ensign.
How did you get back on the ship?
Pardon?
How did you get back on the destroyer?
Well, this was in Hawaii, and we had boats that would pick us up and take us to the ship. Then we'd have to climb rope ladders to get on board the ship. And while I was there, at one time I was driver for the captain.
And what did you do for that?
Well, just whatever he wanted to go someplace, I took him.
And how long did you do that?
Oh, maybe 2 or 3 days. But it was sort of a break from the other stuff going on.
Did you form a bond with the captain at that point?
No, I really didn't. Although after I got out of the Navy, I went to school. I got my degree in engineering, and I used to have to go a lot to Washington D.C. and I tried to look him up one time, because he was a good man. Yeah.
Did you find him?
I found him in the telephone book, but I didn't get in touch with him.
Can you tell us about the medals and awards that you got?
Well, I got all of I can tell you what I got. I put it on your sheet there.
Okay, you say that you got the Victory Medal.
That's right. And then the Asiatic Pacific Medal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I got the American Medal. But that's just putting in time is all.
Did you take any R&R?
Rest and recreation?
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't.
You didn't get off the boat or ship?
Well,
destroyer, I'm sorry.
We got off the ship. We went to a couple islands where we had Coca-Cola or beer to drink underneath the shade of the palm trees.
Did you have anything that you carried for good luck?
Not really. I had my Bible. Mm-hmm.
What about getting letters from home? Was it difficult?
Well, they would have to plan or find out where the ship was going to be. But my folks wrote letters to me and mailed it, and then I would go to the postal service, and then they would catch up with me.
How long did it usually take to get your mail? Did it come in groups?
Well, it came in groups, yes, because it depended upon where the ship was going. And then they would make arrangements to make sure that the ship got the mail.
What about the war coming to an end? Where were you when the war came to an end?
South of Japan, just not too far south, but probably east of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where they dropped the bombs. And then we when the Missouri showed up to have the armistice signed on that, well, we were in sort of plane guard station watching for Japanese planes.
Okay. Did you, at the beginning you said you didn't have enough points and you weren't high in points?
That's right, because when we got back to the States, they discharged all of the high point men, and I didn't have a lot of points. So they transferred me off the ship, and I was in what they call 19th Fleet Staff, and climbing masts and that, and checking on radar, slewing engines, and also on the sonar.
When you say slewing engines, what is
Well,
that?
in the mast, there's mechanism there to rotate the antenna for air search radar and also for ground search radar.
Okay. And climbing masts, what did you do for that? Why did you do that?
Well, I had to go in there, and we had to put in desiccant in the slewing part of the antenna to make sure that it dried up all the water, that there was not going to rust in there.
Okay. How long before you actually got to go home? How long before you were discharged?
Well,
after you came back to the States?
Well, it was probably something like 7 or 8 months. And because I was was taken off the ship and put in a what they call a 19th Fleet Staff, and that's where I had to work on climbing masts and a few things like that.
Do you remember how you got home?
Yes, I got home in a went from San Diego to Texas, and then up north to the Great Lakes, up at to the naval station up at just outside of Waukegan. And then I met my parents, my brother. My brother got discharged out of the Marines before I did, and so it was a good reunion.
What did you do after you came back from the service?
Well, immediately I went to college, and I got my degree in civil engineering. And I met Mrs. Bristow. She was a Miss Bristow at that. But she wasn't even a Miss Bristow. She was a Miss Henningenberg. And the company that I worked for, we designed dams and hydroelectric power plants and power stations like that. And I met Jean, and we were married in 53. And she went with me to Iran and to Colombia, South America, to Argentina, Paraguay. And so we've had a good life. She loves to travel.
What about you? I know that you have a book of your time during World War II. Can you tell me a little bit about that book?
Well, this book here just shows all of the guys on the ship that I went around, and we were in San Diego, and here's a shipmate of mine from Ohio, and this is a shipmate of mine from Minnesota, and then there's a group of guys off of the ship. Yeah, there's Clemens Rood and the guy from Detroit, and so, but I don't keep in touch with those people anymore.
Did you have one shipmate that was possibly you would consider the best friend or a good friend?
Yeah, I did, but we've lost contact with each other.
What was it like when you got out of the service? What was it like readjusting to civilian life? Was it easy for you?
It was easy for me. I went to the University of Illinois, got my degree in civil engineering, and then as I said, I met Gene, and then we went on jobs all over the country. We started out in the state of Washington on a big dam up on the Columbia River. Then we went to Iran, and we had a double curvature thin shell arch dam there and a 2-unit powerhouse. And then we went from there to Columbia, and that project was a lot of tunnel work to take the water into the generating station in Medellin, Colombia.
Do you remain in contact with any of your fellow members, shipmates?
Yes, we do. We have an annual Christmas meeting, which comes up December 6th, is it? This year. And we meet downtown in the Greek restaurant area to have a dinner and get together there. I've got a lot of friends that left in the company.
What about reunions for your your ship?
Well, we just came back from a reunion that was held in Fredericksburg, Virginia, the Admiral Nimitz Museum. Nimitz was the admiral in the Pacific during World War II. Well thought of by the sailors and that, and it was great to go there. Beautiful place to go. And a family, husband and wife, took an interest in our group, and they had our ship mounted in the one wall in the Nimitz Museum, and then we have bricks for the members of the crew that are still alive as of last year.
When your ship came back from Japan, did it stay in commission?
It was actually sold to a South American country, and then they kept it for a couple of years, and they sold it back to us to make scrap out of it.
So when you say that the ship is in the wall, is that actual part of the ship in the wall?
No, just pictures of the ship in the wall. Mm-hmm. And then we've got pictures around it. Our picture is there with it, Gene and my picture, as well as some other guys. And then we went back there this year and found out that somebody had put stones with the names of everybody that's still alive, right there, and almost maybe 20 feet away from where the picture of the ship is.
Interesting. So do you like going back there?
Where for the
reunion and?
Oh yes, we have a lot of. We have one other fellow that was on the ship with me. We got some fellows that can't move around, and then we have the Green family, which their father died about 2 years ago, and they always keep in touch with us. And they came up here for a reunion that we had in Oak Brook. And then we were just down there and stayed with the Green family in Texas.
Um, is there anything that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, it's good to belong to the crew of the destroyer Franks. I was a radar operator, and I was down on the main deck. But a lot of the guys that were with us that we reunions lately were up in the bridge as signalmen and other things that was up there. But we were on the main floor, right opposite the captain's cabin. His sea cabin was up on the bridge, close to the control of things. Yeah.
What else was on the bridge?
Well, we had controls for the engine room, and they would send the what they wanted the output from the engines to be, and also they had up on the bridge they had a wheel to steer the ship, and then we had radar operators up there looking out ahead of the ship to make sure that there was no possibility of having an accident.
What is your most memorable time on the ship?
Well, let's see. I'm trying to think. There was a lot of good memorable times on the thing, particularly when there would be a big meal coming up with turkey or chicken or stuff like that. And but I remember going into Portland, Oregon, and when we brought quite a few people back to Oregon, and we were treated to a football game. Oregon was playing, I forget what they were playing, but we went to the football game in Portland, and that was good.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'd like to say that on the trip to Portland, Oregon, the Navy driver was coasting down the mountains, coasting out of gear, and then he put it in gear, and that just ripped everything out of the transmission, and we were careening down the mountain, and then we got down to the bottom there, and there was a school bus they were out of gas, and so we got our gas and gave them to them and told them, you got to call the Navy and let them come and get us.
How was that?
It was interesting.
Did you get in trouble?
No.
It wasn't a military vehicle?
Oh, it was.
It was.
It was the Navy, but we didn't have, none of our crew was running the bus.
When you were discharged, was there a group that was discharged with you?
There were a group that was discharged off the ship, and I got one picture here that shows the group standing on the bow of the ship after they're relieved from duty. There it is, right there. And you can see that's on the bow of the ship, so a lot of the guys there, in fact, I can look at these guys and see that some of them, a good many of them, were discharged from there. I wasn't discharged with them. I had to wait a little longer.
When you came home, did you sit and think about what your military experiences, how it would affect your life? Have you ever thought of that?
Well, I did see we had a man aboard our ship. He lives down in Downers Grove. His name is Melvin Jet Collins. He saved 22 pilots. He would got the captain. First, they would the ship would race into the plane that had crashed, and then they would put out a motor whaleboat. And this guy said, "Look at," he said, "this is wasting too much time." He said, "Why don't you just come in? I'll dive over the side, go get the pilot out of the plane, and then that will." And so that was what we did. I was on the ship, but not for a lot of the men that he saved. His name is Melvin Jet Collins, and he's in Downers Grove right now.
What did you think about that when you saw it for the very first time? Him diving over the ship, or over the...
Well, it was done all before I was on it. And but it was obviously a good move, because to go up there and then put a motor whaleboat over it, you have to lower it down off its davits, get the crew in, and then go to the plane and get it. This was what this swimmer decided was the most efficient way to get these pilots out, and that's what he did.
Okay. What are some life lessons you learned from military service?
I really didn't have a problem with military service. I would say it was great to serve in the military service and see how cooperation was carried out and jobs were done.
Did you, from your military time, do you now fold your clothes a certain way because that's how it had to be done in the military?
I try to do that. Yeah, I like to roll my socks up, and I'm getting better, am I not, Gene? Okay.
What about how you make your bed? Do you want it a certain way? Those life experiences, have you carried over any of those besides rolling your socks?
Well, I think I do carry a lot of them over. I keep my clothes neat in my furniture there. Yeah.
Did you have to spit shine your shoes?
Spit shining? Oh, you bet.
Do you spit shine now?
Periodically, I do.
And how do you do that?
Well, I have to expectorate on my shoes and get out the brush and the polish and put that in there, and then polish the shoes.
Do you heat up the polish?
Not very often.
Did you when you were in the service?
No, you didn't really have a lot of places to go to heat the polish up.
Do you use water?
Yep, I use water and the polishing rag and that. Yeah.
How many children do you have?
We had 5 boys and a daughter. 2 of our boys went to the Air Force Academy. 2 are pilots. 1 went to the Colorado School of Mines and is a metallurgical engineer, but he's done well in business, so he's got a plane too. And we lost our oldest boy at the age of 24. Yeah.
How has your military service impacted your feelings about war and military in general?
Well, we've got a lot of crazy people in this world, and they're causing lots of trouble for us. And I think we have to be alert, and we have to have forces that can handle these things, because this is just the makeup of the world.
What message would you like to leave to the future generations who view or hear this interview?
Well, I would like them to be very constant about what we've got in the way of government. And we have to have responsible people in the government. And that's just my feeling about it.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about your time in the military?
Well, I met a lot of nice people in the military. As I said before, the captain, Eugene Baker Henry, was the captain of the ship after I got on it, and I thought he was a good man. And then a lot of the other guys on the ship, you take the fellow by the name of Mike Bach, that was a signalman aboard the ship. He's the historian of the ship right now, and we hear from him a lot. It's good to hear from him.
Is there any more that you'd like to share about your story, about your time?
Well, my wife enjoys getting together with the Green family from Texas. She has got a lot of good friends there, and we also had a young couple by the name of Joseph Solomon and his wife Taryn that took an interest in our group, and now he's so busy with business he can't participate with us anymore, but he was a really a top-notch person to know. I had a lot of good officers. I had one that was from Elmhurst. He got to be a big lawyer in Washington D.C. and we've had a good relationship with his family, his wife and daughter, and he was from Elmhurst.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Well, I think this is the greatest country. We got to keep it. I don't mind telling you, I'm not happy with what I see going on now.
Okay. Well,
we enjoyed talking to you two ladies, and I'm going to hear about this conversation from my wife, I think. Are you?
Well, at this time, what I'd like to do is I would like to thank you for giving us the time to interview you.
Yes, good.
And I would also like to thank you for giving me the honor to be the one that interviewed you.
Well, thank you. I thought it was great to have you two ladies there with us.
And also, thank you for serving our country.
Well, I tell you, it was a great country then. We got to keep it that way. And I saw a teapot that I thought, well, my mother would like that. So I knocked on the door and asked the woman that I couldn't speak Japanese to that, but she knew what I wanted. She knew that I wanted that teapot, and she wasn't going to give it to me. She grabbed it and ran out of the house.